iconicness is that is the one-on-one theme song. You know, first of all, I'm a sucker for a good opening sequence, opening credits, and I usually never skip them in general. But for this one, because I've been revisiting the show since it's been on Netflix, and every time, not only do I watch the opening credits to hear the song, I might go back and like, let me run that back one more time and hear it again. Like, isn't that such an iconic, I think it's an iconic and underrated black sitcom. I mean, all black sitcoms have, you know, bops on their theme songs, but this one is so iconic and underrated to me.
Yeah, I love it. The best thing about theme songs is like just remembering as a kid being able to hop up and you just want to dance. Like you just, it makes you, you have your cold open, which is the beginning of the show, the first scene that comes on, and then it goes into that you hear that beat drop and you just want to get up and dance with your family. Like that's what I think about when like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air comes on. I have flashbacks when I was a kid and we hop up and have that, you know, fun moment with our family. And yeah, so I feel the same way with one-on-one. I think Shawnee's voice is ridiculous in every way possible. So I was so happy that, you know, back then I'm 15. I'm not thinking like, oh, his wife should sing the theme song. Oh, that's going to be. No, like I'm not thinking about that. But I love that was done. And now that's something that if it comes on, you know exactly what you're watching. And music has a way of moving you and reminding you of certain times in your life. So I think that's the best part about an amazing theme song for a show.
When one-on-one was canceled and, you know, eventually UPN was no longer a thing, did you think that we would have this absence of black stories in this period of time when UPN was gone that really hasn't come back until, I guess, the last few years? We've kind of seen more and more black-led sitcoms. But for a long time, we had One-on-One, Girlfriends, The Parkers, all of these shows, specifically mostly on this network. And then all of a sudden, it's like they were gone. And, you know, other UPN talent like Essence Atkins and Rachel True talked about, you know, how they felt like kind of the black stories have been pushed out at that point. And I want to get your perspective on feeling like, I know One-on-One was kind of, I think One-on-One may have been canceled kind of like around the same time, but may have not exactly at the same time. But just seeing how it kind of changed from seeing all this blackness in sitcoms to pretty much being virtually nothing until a few years ago.
That's exactly what I felt when we were canceled. We were actually canceled the year that UPN was stopped. Mm-hmm. And because when everything was going on and they did the switch up, they did our reboot for our season 5, that was a complete shock to all of us. I went to work like, wait, what? What's happening? Okay. But I didn't know what was about to happen. And yeah, when we were canceled, I felt like, oh, okay, that's it for the black shows. I just really, I felt like they were developing a different network, and I don't recall seeing anything interesting that I was interested in going to that network. And it was just like, oh, well, I guess we're not having UPN anymore. I guess we don't have a network that just has all of our stuff. So where are they going with this? I didn't understand it, but I didn't want to get too deep into it to where it made me feel some type of way. I kind of had to look like, hey, Kyla, count it as a blessing. You did 113 episodes of the show. Okay, what's next? Like, what's but yeah, that's actually the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, all the black shows are gone. And what are we going to do now? What do we, there's, I can't remember exactly what shows were on the new network, but I knew that none of them I wasn't interested in watching any of them. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, One-on-One doesn't fit in that. It just doesn't. It wasn't, you know, it didn't have the same, I think they were trying to make it that in the last season, but it just didn't read. And so I was like, yeah, I guess you got to go with the flow. I mean, we can't stop the network from being gone. So it is what it is.
And even now, when you're looking back on that last season that kind of gave it a soft reboot, do you look at that season like any differently than the rest of the seasons? Do you think it fits in seamlessly? Or do you think it's kind of like, it was like a One-on-One in like another subtitle under it? Like, I don't know what it could be, but like One-on-One the next days or something like that. Did you think of that season differently?
Yeah, because I think in the beginning, like they tried to make it the One-on-One, the remix. I don't really look at it differently. It was kind of awkward because the family that I had developed over the past 4 years just was no longer there. We didn't have Sewell, we didn't have a Kelly Perrine, we had bits and pieces of Flex, and I know that it had been done on shows before or in some type of way, so I was just trying to go with the flow with it. But the cast that we did bring in were all sweet people, all talented people. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And it was weird because I was put in an awkward position, not knowing that I was put in an awkward position. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, if they around, we just have to flow with it, And it was, I don't look at it differently. I was like, oh, they tried to reduce it. I don't know. I used to try to sit back and imagine like what would have been like if they would have kept it the same, or if they would have went down the route of still having, my mom, Tashina Arnold, coming in and all these different characters who had been with us the past 4 years. What would that have been like? So I guess I'm saying I don't look at it differently, but I guess I do.
Well, that's kind of like the life cycle of Black sitcoms. I feel like a lot of them go through this phase because, you're going to be hot for those first 2-3 seasons. And then when a point comes where it may slow down a little bit, then people may rethink, okay, how can we liven this up? And I go thinking about how, a lot of them change in tone. Like, I don't think one-on-one necessarily changed in tone. It just kind of changed in setting and cast. But, thinking about how things like Family Matters, how the last seasons got kind of, Urkel went into space and things like that were like a big jump from what people knew the show to be. Just like, this family and how they're, dealing with day-to-day life. And then it got kind of, robots and space. And that's kind of different.
I feel like Family Matters was on a very long time. So I think they got to the point where it was kind of like, let's find some other random things.
Yeah.
Which is still entertaining in some way now. My kids have been watching it. But one-on-one, I don't feel like we were at that point yet. I don't feel like we needed a reboot. I really think that happened because the networks knew that they were going to do some type of switch up. And in my mind, I'm thinking, they were trying to see if they can make this show work in order to get it to go to the new network. And I don't think I don't think we needed anything like to switch up to that capacity. We weren't at that point. We weren't in season 8 where it was like, oh, what can we do now? Let's make something up. I really think that was just basically the networks trying to figure out how they can possibly move this show forward. And it, didn't really work.
Yeah. Yes.
But if it stayed the same, it probably would have been the same outcome because, one-on-one as the show that it was also didn't fit for the new whatever they were trying to do, Mm-hmm. So either way, I think it would have been done in the 5th season.
I mean, sitcoms in general kind of moved off that network. I mean, I believe that Girlfriends ran for maybe like 1 season on the CW when it became the CW. And then after that, it was like done like this. Because I think they wanted a few shows, some from the WB and some from UPN to kind of hold over. But then that's when it kind of like, reinvented itself. And then we had like Supernatural and things like that. And we spoke to Tyler James Williams last week. And he actually I talked to him about how now they're kind of not necessarily recreating that, but there's like at one point there was a Black Night on the CW because you had All American and you had Black Lightning, and it's just thinking about how that's kind of like a little UPN because almost every show on UPN was with the Black led cast, and now the CW. I mean, it's come a long way, and like I feel like we're slowly getting there to to having shows that even have Black leads, that have Black families as leads as those 2 shows do. But I still think about what could be if some of the UPN shows have gotten to last a little bit longer in their current states.
And I think at that time, people felt like sitcoms were dying. There was a time where that sitcoms weren't, they weren't being greenlit. It was
especially the multicam.
Yeah. It was all about, this new way of shooting things, this new, that people don't think that type of, they're too advanced for that type of funny. They need a different type of funny. We need that dry comedy. We need all these different things. So I think also the industry just went through a time where they were like, oh no, this is dying. And I love the fact of the sitcom, slowly coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, and now so many pilot orders and so many series orders for comedies have been multicam more recent. I think the single cam kind of had its heyday around like maybe I guess like '08 to maybe 14, 15, but now most comedies are multicam, and I have
we can all coexist.
yeah, yeah.
I'm in the single cam world, and I think back then it was just like, no, that's over. We're gonna do this now, and it's like, oh, okay. But I think now they're realizing like, no, you need a mixture of different type of television because no one's the same. Like we all don't just like the same type of thing. Like there's billions of people in the world. Mm-hmm. We don't have to just go to one tune.
And this was something that I did not realize until recently. And then when I realized it, it made sense that you were doing One-on-One and The Proud Family at the same time. I think they premiered the same year. I think one may have lasted like the next year over the other one. But you were booked and busy then. You were voice acting on a major Disney Channel show. And you also had not a series regular role, but the lead role on a sitcom. How did you juggle that as a child actress? And back then, did you think like, oh, I'm working?
No, I didn't think that at all. I was like, oh, I got to do this cartoon, and on this day, and I was in high school. So I was like, oh, I want to go hang out with my friends. Let me get this work done. Let me handle this. I wasn't really, I guess I was multitasking and didn't realize. But yeah, I did both of those at the same time. They actually premiered both in September of 2001. And, yeah, I think we started shooting we started shooting Proud Family. I think I was in the ninth grade. And then One-on-One got picked up, and I went into homeschool for the remainder of my high school years. But yeah, I just was working. I like even now, like I work like crazy, and if I'm not, it's kind of like, wait, what? What's happening? I like to be busy. I don't understand what's happening. But yeah, I was just working. I wasn't really thinking about it like that. I just enjoy what I do. I think when I was doing the cartoon, I think that helped me so much because I didn't like my voice as a kid. And I was like, wait, they hired me for a cartoon? They're gonna fire me because I don't it's not cute. I don't understand. Even now I hear my voice back and I'll be like, that's me? Oh no. I enjoyed working, and I guess that's the best part of it. I wasn't made to feel like I needed to do it or I had to do it or this is what you signed up for. I wasn't, treated like that. I was still treated like a teenage girl that wanted to go to homecoming and wanted to hang out with her friends. And, it felt like an extracurricular activity for me. It didn't feel like a job.